Hello, fellow iSchool peers. My name is Soraya Andriamiarisoa, LIS graduate at SJSU iSchool for course Info 244, Online Searching, hosted by Instructor Vicki Steiner, and thank you for taking the time to review this instructional presentation on Gale in Context College. In my instruction video, I demonstrated advanced online searching within this database as a means for teens and young adults who want to cultivate their research in science fiction and fantasy content, including but not limited to original character design, artworks, novels, and so on. In this summary, I will be discussing my target audience, my reasons for creating this guide, my role in this research process, my implementation of advanced online searching skills, and how I tested out my plan. In doing so, I hope that you find this summary useful and insightful with regards to using Gale and Context College. Let's jump right in. For this assignment, my target audience are teens and young adults who want an edge when it comes to researching and bringing their creative ideas into reality. These are individuals who are artistically inclined, self-starters, and very curious. In their own work, they realize that they need more research skills, and they also need to know the ins and outs of a library database to access relevant information efficiently. They recognize that putting together a science fiction or fantasy project is challenging, and that their quality of work must account for a detail-oriented orchestration of interconnected aspects that need to come together cohesively. What this audience seeks is a straightforward guide that shows them the ins and outs of an initially overwhelming and even intimidating database, and efficiently pull together effective skills that will help them in the long term when they start gaining the courage to test out different databases. When they are out in the world, they may feel incompetent when it comes to asking others for help. So, to make LIS services more culturally and socially inclusive, I felt that this guide would provide them some navigational agency and skills with more focus on their creative project goals than the anxiety of asking a stranger for directions. Furthermore, these individuals are trying to be independent and become more effective self-starters. So to account for these needs, they can still have a virtual guide when an information professional is not within reach. So for the reasons for creating this guide, science and fiction and fantasy design is elaborate and challenging, and therefore requires creativity, innovation, problem solving, and critical thinking. I chose Gale in Context College because it provides resources that support this approach to learning and research. I also chose this database because it provides historical, social, cultural, and intellectually creative resources that can help my target audience make their works more realistic and of higher quality, followed by strong historical evidence. I believe that is what makes the science fiction or fantasy work effective, because it is based in figuratively and literary symbolism and helps audience relate more to what is being presented to them. Furthermore, I chose to create this instructional guide for this audience so that these skills and resources would become more accessible to them. These individuals may not have access to an information professional and/or may not know what to ask when seeking out assistance with their public or school librarian. What I hope this guide will do is help them see what they can accomplish through research from the comfort of their screen and more. In terms of my role in this process, my role in this research process is to encourage young teens and adults to discover a powerful skill that will improve their learning projects in insurmountable ways. I serve as a virtual nearby guide that allows these young minds to discover that learning and research are not as daunting as they initially appear to be. In providing this guide, I intend to bridge the gap and serve as a comforting guide and knowledgeable mentor for students who are not aware of these skills and resources. In demonstrating a navigational tour of this database and showing them some advanced skills on harnessing this database, this audience may feel more encouraged to try these skills out on their own, paving the way for discussion and creative discovery. Furthermore, I aim to help these individuals establish their creative goals and help them develop research strategies for accessing and utilizing relevant information needs. As for my implementation and testing plan, in this instructional video, the theme of this instructional video focused on sci-fi, fantasy, design, and realism, how to make a project more believable and relatable to real-world scenarios and themes through research. First, I introduced the viewer to advanced online search indicators such as Boolean operators, special characters like the quotation marks, and wildcard truncation symbol star asterisk, as I would be using these methods in my advanced search. For the first key term, I decided to show how viewers could input these terms with autofilled symbols such as quotation mark, science and technology, and then closing quotation mark, which includes both terms followed by quotation marks without manually putting them in. I used truncation symbol for the next two terms, which, WITCH, followed by the truncation symbol star asterisk, and magic, MIGIC, followed by the star asterisk, to include resources that account for other variations of these terms. I then proceeded to guide the viewer in what filters I would recommend selecting, including Lexile measures, which account for the complexity of articles, not just what terms are indexed in a document. After I finished the search, I decided to apply a second tip, which I thought would help the viewers gauge the scope of the database through an encyclopedic option called Topic Finder. This leads to my second demonstration. I demonstrated how this Topic Finder tile tool could help viewers hone in on more specific ideas that they would not have originally thought to have input in their own search query. Use of an encyclopedia can always be a useful tool for the user as each database indexes terms and phrases differently, so they can adjust their search queries to that overarching index. I used the same search queries and selected overarching terms and subset term fantasy and fictional character to see what interesting resource resulted. Overall, search operators like Boolean terms, special characters, wildcards, and encyclopedic indexes are imperative for efficiently gauging the scope and breadth of a database, proving incredibly useful to creative project development of all kinds. This concludes this brief presentation summary of my instructional demonstration of Gale in Context College. I hope my instruction as well as summary provide ample evidence of my ability to perform advanced searches for Info 244 online searching at SJSU MLIS School. Thank you for your time and see you in the next review.